Department of Missouri would like to thank the county of Clay for their proclamation of support. We're an organization comprised entirely of combat wounded veterans who proudly wear the Lewis Combat Decoration still in use. And you touched on a lot of that stuff, so I'm going to skip over a little bit myself. The Purple Heart is awarded to members of the armed forces who are wounded by an instrument of war in the hands of the enemy, and thus posthumously to the next of kin in the name of those who are killed in action or die of wounds in action. Only 0.6% of everyone that's ever served in the military has received the Purple Heart, and 50% of those is posthumously. So it's an award that no one wants to receive, but it represents the high price we pay for our freedom. It is heartwarming to us to have appreciation in our community for the sacrifice of Purple Heart recipients expressed in this meaningful way.
Now, could you both identify yourselves for the record, please?
My name is John Dismer, Commander, State Commander for the Military Order of the Purple Heart.
My name is Bryce Lockwood. I was a Gunnery Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Senior Vice Commander for the Department of Missouri, Chaplain and Finance Officer for the chapter in Springfield, Missouri.
We talked a little bit before about the ship that you served on, the USS Liberty. Could you tell us a little about that, since it seems to have some local connection?
Be glad to. During the 1960s and before the advent of satellite communications and intelligence collection, much of our nation's intelligence was collected by a group of ships. They were named after primarily cities, major cities in the United States. My ship was the newest and most modern of her class at the time, the USS Liberty, and she was named primarily after Liberty, Missouri. During the 6 Days War in 1967, we were ordered to the Eastern Mediterranean primarily to keep track of Soviet involvement with the impending 6 Days War. At the height of the war on June the 8th of 1967, we were brutally attacked by unmarked aircraft. We found out later that they belonged to the nation of Israel, supposedly our best friend. There were 34 Americans killed. Over 2/3 of the crew were wounded. There were a total of 208 Purple Hearts awarded. And this was done by our friends Israelis.
Can you tell us a little about your background?
Well, I was a chief warrant officer in the Army. I was a gunship helicopter pilot. And I was an instructor pilot after I got back from Vietnam. And that's basically all I got to say. And I got shot, so.
That's a pretty big deal. Thank you both for your service. Is there any further discussion from any of the other commissioners?
Just wanted with this fantastic memento that we're
Yeah.
receiving.
I faced a torpedo explosion from less than 10 feet away looking at it and survived. There were 25 men that were killed all around.
I don't know if the rest of everybody can see this, but I'm going to leave it up on the table so that you can see it. And, it's impressive. makes a statement. So, thank you for your service.
Was there any explanation of why Israel bombed the ship?
Much of it is speculation, since those that were involved, Moshe Dayan was the one who ordered the attack. We found that out from a CIA document that was just about 5 years ago released as a result of the Freedom of Information Act. During the morning of June the 8th, when our ship was attacked, the Israelis had captured an entire Egyptian brigade, somewhere in excess of 850 troops. They ordered those men to dig their own graves and then brutally murdered all 850 of them. This is a serious violation of international law. Well, there was a reason why that took place. The Israelis desperately wanted to go on heights, which at the time belonged to Syria. Syria was advised by the Soviet Union, supplied by the Soviet Union, and there were Soviet troops that were there on the scene. There was a tacit agreement between the Johnson administration at the time and the Israeli government not to attack Golan Heights because of the fear of Soviet involvement, which could have led to pretty serious international warfare. The Israelis had plans to attack Golan Heights on June the 8th, and then here comes this USS Liberty spy ship. So that had to be dealt with. There was also another speculation, strictly speculation. Our nation's entire nuclear force was on full alert from early in the morning on June the 8th. When we finally got a mayday off over Israeli jamming of our distress frequencies, which is another violation of international law, rescue aircraft were launched by both the USS Saratoga and the USS America, which were 6th Fleet aircraft carriers about 200 nautical miles away. They were recalled under orders by Secretary McNamara, and then when it was appealed by the commander of Task Force 6, Admiral Geis, Lyndon Johnson himself ordered rescue aircraft returned. The speculation is that Lyndon Johnson had some kind of an agreement with Israeli military personnel to sacrifice the USS Liberty as an excuse to bring American involvement in the 6 Days War. Again, I would say that that is strictly speculation.
Yeah, it's very compelling. One of the things that, I'm sorry, can you say something?
No, not yet.
Oh, I was just going to, because we had talked a little bit about expanding the Purple Heart Trail in the state of Missouri, and I think you had mentioned that there was some legislation possibly coming out next year.
Right, I think when you start in January, when you go back into session, and we got I-49, which is going from Kansas City down to the state line, designated as a Purple Heart Trail. And we've already started collecting funds for that, because we have paper signs to vote on. But in the same token, we've got the I-55 and also Highway 65 from Springfield, Missouri down to Branson, because Branson is such a veterans organization. In every town, we've got every town, all the way from Springfield all the way down to Branson and beyond, down to Hollister, which is the last city down there. These are all Purple Heart cities, and they all have Purple Heart signs. On that, on 65, and on 160, the other side, going down from Campbell, down through Nixon and all that, they're all Purple Heart cities also. And so we're working on that one. And our objective and vision is to have every interstate designated as a Purple Heart Trail in the state of Missouri, which would be the first state to do that. Except for the states that only have one interstate anyway. So.
Yes, I see what you mean, and I might say, because I think in Missouri here we got off to a bit of a slow start, but not unlike the Royals, it sounds like we're trying to be finishing a little bit more strongly than we started.
But then the states that Missouri is also a Purple Heart state.
Yes.
So, and we've got now, we feel over 37 counties and 107 cities, Purple Heart cities. And we're working to get 114 counties, but it takes some time. We started this in 2012. We had Branson as the first city, and it was the only one in that year. So we just,
I'm sorry.
so we're plugging away at it. We spend a lot of time on the road doing these things. And also, we have a plaque we'd like to give to the county in honor of becoming.
How do we want to?
Recess to call.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll go ahead and make the presentation for the record, and then after you read what's on the plaque, we'll go ahead and take a short recess.
I'd like to say one thing, it's like the city of Liberty, and it's the USS Liberty. It's unbelievable coincidence there. And have you talked to the city of Liberty about?
Not yet. I'm kind of getting on the I-70 corridor.
Well, anyway, we do have a city councilman here from Liberty right here, our general
All right.
council here. So
Great.
that's your first contact with the city of Liberty right there.
Okay. Very good.
We never hesitate to put anybody on the spot.
That's great. That's great.
I must say this.
I was going to ask you later if I could contact someone with the city.
Right there.
I must say this is especially an honor for me to be here since my ship was named after your city.
The honor is completely ours to have you gentlemen here and the rest of the veterans that are here. Did you want to go ahead and?
Okay, I'd like to present you with the plaque. Military Order of the Purple Heart Special Recognition bestowed with pride to Lake County, Missouri, for your dedication and support honoring America's combat wounded veterans and becoming a Purple Heart County. This is presented by the Patriot members of the Department of Missouri Military